Hello everybody, welcome back to Back Out of the Case. It is Skyflight 44, aka Sec 44, and today I'm going to continue to play some more Final Fantasy XII. Now this one is a post-commentary video, a very short one compared to everything that comes after and before this one. However, I needed to go and have at least some cleanup when it comes to the rare game. Before all the rare game becomes so easy, I just kill them in 3 shots. Even though, by this point, there's actually quite a bit of me killing some of these guys within 10-15 seconds. But there's actually 2 rare game in the same area with the same actual conditions to getting them to appear. So a lot of the time, both of them spawn simultaneously. However, my initial, well, maybe not initial, but a lot of my earlier playthroughs when I actually seen this thing, when I was trying to go after that hunt, because it doesn't like woos either, I actually seen the bull croc. However, I never really seen what was Eros, which is the one that comes next. But if you kill off all of the woos and continue to come back in, you'll see eventually this thing, the bullcroc and the Eros. Now, well, I didn't see it, so it's going to be a fade in and fade out. And it looks very much the same, because it's just 5 seconds later. That was a mistake on my part. Probably should have waited a little bit longer. Now, Eros is very much the same as a lot of these horrible freaking wyverns, except this one's weak to thunder. And damn, I really wish I got Thundara before this actual fight. Fuck. This thing, it's really weak to it, but I don't have the power. I have the MP to, start spell slinging right now, but I need Thundara badly. Now, actually, at the moment right now, for me, I immediately went after. I don't have a Blizzaga. I have only a Faraga, and because I know that was going to be very useful. And I immediately went to Thundaga because, unlike this game sometimes kind of screws with my previous Final Fantasy knowledge, in that something like, let's say, the Ice Elemental and a lot of the Ice enemies, or the enemies that are within the Paramina Rift, are weak against lightning, not necessarily fire. Fire generally, in the older Final Fantasy games, was good against, ice enemies, or enemies that just thrive in cold environments. And that throws me for a loop. They're weak against lightning, and fire, though this is more logical, instead of being weak against ice, is weak against water. Which was weird in Final Fantasy X. I believe ice was what you would use against fire, and fire against ice instead of water against fire. I believe it was water and lightning that were opposites in that one. But oh well. This one's probably the longest actual fight, barring the actual Demon Wall fight, or maybe the Demon Wall fight actually is quicker than this one. But this is what happens when you don't have all the best spells to go and do this. If you actually had, I think about it, I just recently, when I was playing the game, got lightning arrows. That would have been really useful. And to be honest, I don't even think this reflect actually worked all that well. If I remember correctly, he just started using... I don't know if it's this. Using reflect has been, I don't know, it's been hell or useless to me anytime I've tried it so far in this playthrough. Either the enemy just completely ignores it, those fucking crystal bugs, or they just go on to using something else, and never has Reflect ever worked in my favor. Though there was one instance where Reflect could have worked, and that was just because it was a whole lot of undead enemies, and you cast any kind of spell on them, and they'll cast Reflectka on themselves. However, they're undead, so if you use something like Kiraja, you'll attack them. But then, if they have Reflect on themselves, you can bounce that off of multiple enemies onto yourself. So instead of just getting 3 regular actual castings of it within one spell, you might, if there's like 7 of them that have Reflect on themselves, you're going to reflect back 7 to yourself. But yeah, screw Reflect right now. If anything, just go and use the actual the accessory that immediately gives you. Now, this is no, it's not Floodwing, but it's some kind of bat in the Goldmoor jungle. What you Philo. I just immediately think of dog, mainly because Fido, but oh well. To actually go and get this, you have to. It's in one of the later sections before the Parameter Rift. It's where it branches off into 2 just paths. If you go and kill enough, you don't have to kill all of them, but if you go and kill enough enemies and then go and reach this little corner, you can actually get this thing to appear, and it's really nothing. You can easily beat it your first time through. Now in the Parameter Rift, if you actually go to this area, I don't really remember what it was. It's relatively in the middle. It has a lot of dead bones, or maybe not dead bones. That's the later enemy. Skull Defender, wasn't it? Oh well. It's just if you kill everything that's inside it, you'll eventually go and, well, if you leave and then come back, right in the middle of the area will be this thing. And it's technically our first time seeing the Dullahan enemies, these headless enemies. And this is what I mean when it comes to how rare game can be considered something similar to a boss, something maybe like a mini boss or something. If you go after them immediately, if you get into one of these areas and immediately try and go after all of these little rare games, especially if you get them immediately, unlike that goddamn cult sworn lich, these actual enemies can be fairly strong. However, I would say go and use a ancient sword on this guy, because he doesn't resist, well, he's not immune anyway to petrification. I did not know that. And to be honest, this fight would have taken far longer if the petrification didn't go on and happen. The entire reason why I was actually using this weapon was because, if I remember correctly, a lot of the enemies around here... I don't think I had the Ice Brand. I had the Flame Tongue. I don't think it was working too well. But, oh well. It's dead just through petrification. That's quite easy. Now, this is the area right before the Enca San. What you have to do is, before you get here, get or chain 100 Urutaniensa, and then you get this Urutan Exile. That looks kind of like that queen figure a little bit. Interesting. Once again, now this is actually in the Namyensa. It's very similar to that pineapple that we faced before. But this one, the Mega Bomb, if you actually get enough Urutaniensa chained up and you actually go around to the, which I believe is the same area that you'll fight another actual rare game. But to be honest, all you really have to do is look at what the, even though I don't know what area this is or the name of it, you can just look at the actual mini-map and find out what it is. It's the same area as this one. However, this actual area that we're in, you have to go into the that caverns that are connected to this place through the I believe it's the Ogiyensa, the first Sand Sea area. Right in the middle, there's an area to pretty much get into the caverns, and if you just follow it to the end of it, come back out, you'll appear in the Namyensa right around here. There's an actual hunt that you'll eventually go after that's based in this exact area. And let's just say, trying to find how to get into this area kind of pissed me off a lot. But that thing will go away every now and again. Oh well. What you have to do to get it to appear and to fly over to you to begin with, you have to kill all the Bagalies. Apparently, a lot of rare game hate these freaking bird creatures. To be honest, part of me doesn't really... I can sympathize with the rare game. I don't really like those actual creatures either. They look weird and they're kind of annoying, because especially in the beginning of the game, more than any other creature, more than any other class, they're very likely to go and use Protect and Shell. Even in the very beginning, in the Giza Plains, they'll use Protect, whatever those things were called. Oh, the Oostrix or something like that. But oh well. You have to go, it's a flying creature, so you're gonna have to use magic or ranged equipment. So, go at it. Now, we're back in the Tomb of Wraithwall. To be honest, just to tell you, this is a 24-minute video. The actual, let's just say the entire session for this was one day, over 6 hours of me trying to get all these rare games to appear. Yeah, that sucks. But now, the Demon Wall is not easy, but is definitely beatable, or more so. To be honest, if you have a lot of Quickenings to begin with, and you get a good Quickening chain, you can probably kill this thing. Possibly in your first go at it, but if you really have to immediately go after the Quickenings. And to be honest, I didn't really like this actual, I really didn't like this fight at all. I had to go and use Quickenings immediately. And the sucky thing about it, I should have did so at the very beginning of the game. Because now Balthier has been X-zoned. And oh well. That sucked. Number 2 mistake. I probably should have brought somebody like Vaughn in. But this is Quickenings. I never really liked Quickenings. I've come to use them far more often in this playthrough, mainly just because they've been a hell of a good help. And they've saved my ass quite a lot. But basically what you're trying to do is use your Quickenings. Depending on how many charges you have, that's all you can really use. If you don't have anything there, you can shuffle to see if you can get some more actual Quickenings up. you also have the chance of mischarges that will basically recharge yourself, like right there, and it will, well, at that time I shuffled, but a mystery charge will allow you to, well, recharge yourself to get more shit off. Very, very useful. When you pretty much want to go and get as high as a chain as possible. Not to mention, in chaining, the level, the rank of the quickening also changes the outcome of the final actual thing. Because once you get a certain chain, once you get used a certain amount of ranks anyway, that's what I believe, you'll get something like Inferno. If you were to get something better or use better chain, or that 7 combo chain was a bit higher when it comes to let's just say if instead of using rank 1 quickenings you did a lot more rank 2s or 3s, then we might have gotten something like, was it Arc Blast was the next one or something, or you know, something similar, and you'll get something better. But oh well, I couldn't do that this time, and I probably could have beaten this thing in one shot had I had another character in this. Come on, alarm clocks. Not smelling salts, alarm clocks. I would really say go and try and buy as many items. You know, maybe not vaccines, but actually I would go after vaccines because cleanse just doesn't do it. But antidotes, you don't really have to buy. If you grind, especially where I do, you're going to be getting antidotes and high eye drops. But get as many of those as possible, just because you're going to want to go and use them. You're really going to want to use them in battle. Outside of it, blindness fine, Asena's fine, Poisona, and all those. The big one that you're going to want to have is Echo Herbs, because if you don't have those, you're kind of fucked. If not, Remedies. Remedies, you can start buying after, I believe, you finish Mount Brahmi Sace and all the stuff about surrounding that. The actual game, let's just say that going and beating the last boss, Mount Brahmi Sace, is going to open. It's going to be another one of those the game opens up points. And there's going to be a shitload more hunts you can actually go and do. Some of them I don't actually do immediately, and I don't do until after Arcades, which actually makes them quite easy. One of the hunts you can actually do right now, you can do immediately, is the Feral Retriever, I believe. It's a rank 3. To be honest, especially if you can do a good quickening chain, you can probably beat the thing now. Though one of the big drawback to quickening and quickenings in the original Final Fantasy XII is it's tied to your MP. When you actually, I like the idea of quickenings being tied to your MP, and but it is annoying. Not to mention, summons also go and use your quickening charges, your mischarges, and that sucks. But I do like how you have so little MP in the very beginning of the game, and that magic costs quite a bit. It makes you want to go and get the quickenings, and it really just... It's easy to go and find out where all the quickenings are on the map, because well, on the license board it tells you straight out. But going and just having your fun with magic is something that what am I trying to say? It's something you earn. At the same time, it's something that is so, I'm not gonna say necessary, but the game becomes so much harder when you don't have MP, when you don't have good MP regeneration, when you don't have good actual magic. The game becomes far harder. But at the same time, magic is not a... Magic is not something you actually go and use constantly. It's not something you want to use constantly. But at the same time, very much like Final Fantasy VII, because you're allowed to have all of this, because you're allowed to go and do so much with your magic, and not to mention because it's useful, you're encouraged to use magic instead of just having to use magic, because that's all you really can do. So before I continue, this little beast here is basically you have to go and chain Seekers. Chain 10 Seekers and then come into the middle and then just continuously with that chain go into the middle and that face will appear. Now, Cult Sworn Lich. The problem with this son of a bitch and why this one is a jam. This thing I despise more than any rare game I've seen so far and will completely stop me from ever going after rare game again. There are liches in the southern side of the Trial and Tomb of Wraithwall. The liches will appear well, not randomly, but they seem to be randomly in the actual area. The actual liches basically will only go and give you, they'll only divide once. They have to divide for the Cult Sworn Lich to come out. It has to be a division of the Lich. And it's difficult to get out because there's a 20% chance for it to do so. It sucked trying to get that thing to come out. Now, the Lindbergh Wolf basically just, well, you get a chain of, just chain some wolves and then come over here into the, basically the southern section of the area. I believe you can get a Gladius from that too by stealing it, so it's something you can do pretty early. Dustia right here is basically if you come in at very low health, critical health, you can actually go and get the Dustia to appear. It's very, very... this thing has null for one thing. I hate it. Basically takes your MP down to 1. I mean 0. It sucks. But this is actually an enemy that, well, not speedrunners, but people who want to get or level up as fast as possible, go and defeat. They do so with Phoenix Downs. And this chaining glitch, you can get a lot of money there with that, with the item it drops too. But this thing here, you can actually fight pretty early. You have to go and kill all of the hostile enemies in this area of the Ester Sand. If you do so, you can actually go and get this thing to spawn. Don't kill any of the neutral ones. This one, kill all 3 cactoids and the little labyrinth area of the Ester Sand. It's really easy to kill. You can do this immediately in the game. And it's dead already. Oh, that's it for now. See ya, everybody. Till next time.